So, warm welcome to today's session. Today we'll see what is meant by probability distribution. We have already studied what is meant by probability and how to calculate probability. Probability distribution is one step ahead or it is an extension of your probability. So, what is probability distribution basically about? Let us take this example. See, for example, let's assume that we are tossing a coin three times, right? So now let's assume that my option or my favorable outcome is head. I need heads, right? I need heads. So what are the chances of getting? How many heads can I get when I toss a coin three times? I can get zero heads, which means that all the three times I might be getting a tail. I might be getting one head and two tails, or I might be getting two heads and one tail, or I might be getting all the three as heads. Now, probability distribution table something looks like this. I'm trying to calculate the probability distribution. See, for zero hits, it could be there could be a chance of 20%. There could be a chance of 10% of getting one head, or there could be a 40% chance of getting two heads, and 30% chance of getting all the three heads. So this is called as probability distribution. See, what is basically probability distribution means? What are the chances, or what are the, you see, there'll be continuous experiments or there'll be continuous events. So you're basically trying to study what are the outcomes, or what are the favorable outcomes that I might be expecting, right? Or it could be something like there will be certain outcomes that you are expecting, and what is the chance of occurrence of that particular favorable outcome. There will be series of events. It need not be easy. In our previous classes we would have studied of occurrence of one particular event. It could be picking up three balls, or it could be tossing a coin five times and checking how many times we'll be getting four heads or something like that. But this particular table is describing what is the probability of me getting zero heads or one head, two heads, three heads. So this type of yeah, and series of events, we call it as probability distribution. So let us understand what is probability distribution. Probability distribution is a statistical function that describes all possible values and possibilities that a random variable can take within a given range. See, this is a this getting heads. This is one such variable, correct? This is one such variable, and I'm just trying to see what is the probability of each of the values what that variable is taking. See, possibility that a random variables can take within a given range. Probability distribution maps out the likelihood of multiple outcomes in a table or an equation. See, there are multiple options. Either you can get 0, you can get 1, you can get 2, or you can get 3. We are just trying to understand what is the probability for each of such event. So before we get into the types of probability, let us try to understand a few definitions. What do you mean by mutually exclusive or disjoint event if they cannot occur at the same time? For example, when you're tossing a coin, you'll either get you'll get either heads or you'll get tails. There is no chance that you'll be getting both of them together when you're tossing one coin at one time, right? You're tossing a coin once, either you'll get heads or you'll get tails. Similarly, when you're considering a student, either he can pass the exam or he can fail the exam. I mean, he'll get I mean, he'll not be able to pass. They are the only two options, and they cannot happen at the same time in one subject for that particular student. So these type of events, we call it as mutually exclusive events. The probability that event A occurs given that event B has occurred is called conditional probability. B can see there is a event B that has already occurred. Only if B occurs, A will occur. This is called conditional probability. I repeat, there is one event which has occurred, right? There's one event that has occurred. If that event occurs, only you will get you have a chance of getting another event. right? This is called conditional probability. What is complement of an event? If you if you denote p of a as occurrence of an event, or you consider p of a to be the probability of occurrence of an event, and p of a dash becomes a complement event, which means if the probability of getting or rather the probability of you guys passing your exam, each one of you, let's assume that probability is 70%, right? That is the event. P of a is equal to 0.7. Then p of a dash is equal to 30%. 30% is a complementary event, which is opposite to what's happening, or it's opposite to your success, right? It is opposite to your success. It is basically denoted by p of a dash or p of b dash, like that, and it is basically 1 minus the 1 minus p of a. The probability that events a and b both occur is the probability of intersection. See, there could be certain chances that both the events can occur at the same time, right? There could be chances that you might pass in both maths and stats, right? Or there could be probability that both two students together pass in statistics. So this kind of events, we call it as intersection of events. Probability that a or b occur is the probability of union of a and b. Either a will there's a probability that either a will occur or b will occur, right? This means that there is a probability of union of a and b. See, yeah, it could be something like this. A union is something like this. You're tossing a coin. Either you'll get A or you'll get B. So both put together will be equal to 1. So with this, these are a few definitions of probability which we'll have to understand before getting into the types. Next, types of probability distribution. There are basically two types of probability distribution, and in this class or in this session, we'll be studying about discrete probability distribution. So what is meant by discrete data and what is meant by continuous data? I think I'm very much sure that we have already discussed this in our first module itself when we were discussing about what do you mean by data and types of data. I hope you guys are able to recall that. Discrete data is something like this. It takes a value of integer and it cannot take any fraction into consideration. For example, number of students attending today's class. Either it can be some 50, or it could be 55, or it could be 56, or it could be 57, or it could be 52. Or rather, it takes an integer. It cannot be something like 56.5 or 54.2. So this fraction cannot be there, and this data that assumes only integers, we call it as a discrete data. Number of accidents per month, it takes a form of discrete data. Number of calls which I'm getting from morning, that is a discrete data, right? How, on the other hand, what is meant by continuous data? Continuous data is that it can take any value in that given range. For example, there could be say yeah the rain. When you are measuring rain in terms of today rain was say 11 millimeters or 11.5 millimeters, 11.7 millimeter. It takes into consideration the fraction also. It can assume the fractions or it can assume the decimals in the given range. Number of hours slept, right? It could be 5 hours, 37 minutes, 54 seconds, and 32 milliseconds. Like this. Continuous can take any value. It doesn't have any constraints. But when it comes to discrete, it will take it will only take the integers into consideration. So in particular, you will have to study binomial distribution and Poisson distribution for your syllabus. That is the important concepts under your syllabus. What is a binomial distribution? Binomial distribution can be thought of as simple the probability of success or failure. See, in binomial distribution, you are only talking about or you are only thinking about success or failure of outcome in an experiment or survey that is repeated multiple times. Right? The example what I gave you, tossing of a coin 3 times. That is a classic example of binomial distribution where you have only two outcomes, either success or failure, right? And the experiment or survey is repeated multiple times, right? The binomial is a type of distribution that has two possible outcomes. See, the one basic understanding about binomial, the bi refers to two, which means that there'll be only two possible outcomes, right? Either it will be success or failure. It will be heads or tails. It cannot be anything else, right? So this is called binomial distribution. Properties of binomial distribution, very important. Last year they have asked in the final examination. What are the properties of binomial distribution? Experiment has sequence of n identical trials. The trials are identical. For example, tossing of a coin, what I gave you guys one example, right? The experiment or the trials are equal. You know, you are just tossing a coin three times. There'll be two outcomes. There are two outcomes. One is heads or other is tails. Success is denoted by P, which remains fixed. Success is denoted by P, which remains fixed, which means that the probability of occurrence of heads remain fixed by to any number of trials you are doing. Even if you toss it 50 times, the possibility of getting heads will be fixed. Trials are independent. It is not like what is dependent and what is independent. Dependent is something like the occurrence of heads will be dependent on some other factor, right? So these are called independent events, and whenever you are tossing a coin for the first time, you don't have to depend on anything else. So these are the properties of binomial distribution. Next, calculating binomial distribution, or how do we calculate binomial distribution? So this is the formula of calculating binomial distribution, which is very important. Make a note of this. NCR into P to the power of R into N to the power of N minus R. P refers to possibility of success in single trial, right? Probability of failure in single trial is Q, and R refers to number of successes in N trial, and N refers to number of Bernoulli trials. How many times you are tossing a coin, or basically how many times. Mean of binomial distribution is equal to N into P. Excuse me. So variance is equal to NPQ, and standard deviation will be equal to root of NPQ. With this, let me go to the next slide. So I've taken one illustration. The average percentage of failures in a certain examination is 40, which means that Q is equal to 0.4. Do you guys agree with me? Q is equal to 0.4 because 40% of them are failing, which means that P is equal to 0.6. Sorry, 0.6, because 1 minus Q, 1 minus P is equal to Q, right? 1 minus P is equal to Q. If Q is equal to 0.4, P will be equal to 0.6. Now, what is the probability that out of a group of 6 candidates, which means that N is equal to 6, there are 6 trials, or we are testing 6 students, at least 4 passed in the examination. So let me take it as a separate question. This is Q1. Let us take the first part of the question. At least 4 of them are passing in the examination. This is like the ball example, or taking a. There were three colors of three balls of. Sorry, there were balls of three colors which we have discussed earlier. Right, a combination will be used in case of your binomial distribution, because there could be any number of 4 students, any combination of 4 students passing out of 6 candidates who appeared for the examination, or whom we are testing basically. So number of trials is equal to 6, and P is equal to 0.6, and Q is equal to 0.4. Now, probability that so probability that at least 4 of them will pass, which means that we are supposed to calculate P of x, which is either equal to or greater than or greater than or equal to 4, because see, it could be either 4. What are they telling? At least 4 of them, which means that 4 of them may it could be a probability of 4 of them passing the examination, or 5 of them, or all 6 of them, right? So p of x which is equal to or greater than 4, which means p of x is equal to 4 plus p of x is equal to 5 plus p of x is equal to 6, right? So let us calculate each one of them individually and add them at the end of the problem. P of x is equal to, sorry, x is equal to 4. Let me show you how I calculate this one. So I know that this is the formula HCR into p to the power of r into q to the power of n minus r. Let me paste the same formula here. I know what is n. N refers to 6, correct? N refers to 6, and r refers to 4. You can either call it as x or you can call it as r, right? Either of them. In some of the textbooks they have used it as r. I'll also use it as r. uh, 4 and 6 minus 4. So if you solve this, you'll get, okay, let me substitute the values of q and if you solve this, you'll be getting, okay, let me solve it for you. 6c 4 is equal to 15, and 0.6 to the power of 4, that gives us 0.1296, and 0.4 to the power of 2, that gives us uh, 0.16, which means that this will be equal to 0.3110, right? P of r is equal, r of 4 is equal, r is equal to 4. Sorry, P of r is equal to 4, which means that it is 0.3110. Similarly, for P of r is equal to 5, this will be equal to 0.1866, and P of r is equal to 6, which will be equal to 0.0467. So the total of P of r, which is equal to or greater than 4, is equal to the sum of all the three things, right? Which will be equal to 0.544. I hope this is clear, right? So similarly, the second part of the question will be, at most two students pass, correct? Which means that P of r should be less than or equal to 2, right? Either there could be student, all the 6 of them will fail, or one of them will fail, or sorry, all, I mean, sorry, it is that there is a chance, or there is a fair chance that at most two students pass, which means that maximum two students can pass, which means either there could be two students who are passing, or only one student who will be passing the exam, or all of them will fail, correct? So let me write down the probability. I want you guys to calculate it. So it is 0.041 plus 0.041 0.369 plus 0.1382, which gives us 0.1792. So zero students passing the exam or all of them failing in the exam, the probability is 0.041, right? Similarly, one student passing, it is 0.0369, and two students passing, it is 0.1382. I hope you guys understood this problem. Now, let us move on to the next topic or next, type of discrete probability distribution, that is Poisson distribution. What is Poisson distribution? You will have to understand this. There are few changes from your binomial distribution. See, in case of your binomial distribution, we discussed about things like tossing a coin, which will have 50% chance of getting heads, and there'll be 50% chance of getting tails. The probability of success factor will be very high in case of your binomial distribution. The samples what they'll be taking will be limited, or the population will be little limited. It could be somewhere around it will be, I mean, maximum you can have some 30 samples under your binomial distribution. But when it comes to Poisson distribution, the thing is that the success probability of success will be very small. Probability of occurrence of individual event will be very small, which means that you can take example of number of accidents on a particular road, right? There'll be hundreds, or the sample size will be very high, or the population will be very high. What do you mean by population? There'll be, say, n number of vehicles that will be passing in that road every single day, but number of accidents or the number of vehicles that might meet with an accident will be very very limited, right? So this type of data, or you can actually consider we getting or number of patients on a particular day who are dying, right? There'll be the population or the number of patients who get admitted on a single day will be very high, but the occurrence of this particular event will be very small. This is one feature of Poisson distribution. So the Poisson distribution is used to describe discrete quantitative data such as counts in which population size is large, okay, and the probability of an individual event lambda is very small, right? But the expected number of events n, which will be moderate, it will be some 5 or so. So let us solve one problem so that you will understand this. Yeah, I have given the properties. The experiment consists of counting the number of events that will occur during a specific interval of time. Right, okay. See, it could be something like number of calls received on a particular day, or they'll give you a specific distance, area, or volume. The probability that an event occurs in given time, distance, area, or volume is the same. Okay. Each event is independent of all other events. For example, number of people who arrive in first hour is independent of the number of students or people who arrive in the any other hour. So these are the properties of Poisson distribution. See, it could be something like this, where it states, suppose that on an average, one house in thousand in a certain district has a fire during a year. In one entire year, the probability, or the occurrence of this event of catching fire, or I mean, having a fire accident, it is one out of thousand houses in that particular year. In that particular year, right? It's not just a particular month or a particular day. It is in an entire year. Out of thousand houses, there's a chance that only one house will catch fire. If there are 3,000 houses in that district, what is the probability that exactly four houses will have a fire during the year? See, here we are talking about this number of events. Number of events is limited. It is four, five, like that. So let me write down the data what they have given us. So n is equal to number of items in the population, that is 3,000 houses are there. P or lambda is equal to 0.001, which is nothing but 1 by 1000, correct? And since n is small, n is very small, sorry, n is actually very large, n is like 3000, but p is very small. In this case, you'll be applying Poisson distribution, mean, which is equal to n into p, or it is also represented by lambda. I've used that symbol here, right? I've used that symbol here, which is equal to 1, right? Mean is 1. So for p of r, we have a separate formula, right? P of r is equal to, I'm sorry, P of e is equal to e to the power of minus m, e to the power of minus m into m to the power of r divided by r factorial. This is the formula of your Poisson distribution, e to the power of minus m into m to the power of r divided by r factorial. When I apply this, right, e is a constant, e to the power of what is m? M is nothing but the mean, right? M is nothing but the mean what we have calculated, n into p, which is equal to 1. Minus 1. So into what is m? M again stands for 1 to the power of 4 divided by 24. N factorial. N is nothing but your, I mean r factorial. R is nothing but 4, right? So if we calculate this, you will be getting 0.169, right? You'll be getting 0.169, right? So let me explain this once more. I'll just try to write this formula again by inking it, so that I mean it becomes easy for you guys to follow. So this is the formula of your Poisson distribution. Please make a note of it. So I don't think in examination you'll get this type of problem, because uh, even if you get, they'll give you e to the power of minus m values, and they'll give you m to the power, I mean, yeah, that constant of e to the power of minus m they would have given you. right? So what is n into p here? I guess sorry, I think there is a mistake here. 3000 into p, right? 3000 into p is 0.001, which gives us 3, correct? So similarly, if I apply the same thing, e to the power of minus m, which would be equal to e to the power of minus 3, uh, which is equal, I guess it is 0.05 into 81 divided by 24. Please check your answers. The final answer will be 0.169. So this is one method, or this is one of the this thing. Don't worry, in exam, since scientific calculators are not allowed, you will be given this values. This is about your probability distributions. So in case you have any doubts, you can always reach out to me, right? Thank you so much.